today I'm making a video about buying helmets and what kind of helmet should you buy. Now, as I've always mentioned, buying a helmet is not just important, but buying the right kind of helmet and the right fitment is the most critical thing when it comes to riding a motorcycle. Because without helmet, we are extremely vulnerable. That is, the rider is extremely vulnerable to any kind of a fall. It goes without saying. Now, you could buy a riding jacket or gloves, and even if the size is not 100% how it is supposed to be, even then you can kind of get away with it, because even if it's slightly looser, it is okay in terms of a jacket or sometimes even gloves. But when it comes to helmet, no, they cannot be loose. Now, I've always mentioned in my videos, and when my friends, my YouTube subscriber friends have asked me that what should be the fitment of my helmet, and I've always mentioned that helmet has to be a very snug fit one, correct? I mentioned that when you put on your helmet, it should not be easy. You're supposed to be pulling the straps away, put on your helmet, and it should not move anyway, either this way or this way, and that is how the fitment should be, extremely snug, correct? But again, remember, we all are bikers, we love motorcycles, but again, not every one of us do the same kind of riding. That is, not all are track riders, not all are tourers, nor does everyone do a lot of commuting. So because we all use motorcycles for different purposes, even the helmet fitment and a few features on the helmet would vary. So now, if you are someone who is using your motorcycle primarily for commuting, then what I generally say, that is buying a very snug fit helmet with double D ring. Now, what is the double D ring? That would be this right here. This is a double D ring where you put on the strap from the other side and tighten it. It is not something which could be done within a second, and it also, you have to basically learn it, and you cannot do it with your gloves on. So I'll come back to that topic. Now, if you are someone, as I mentioned, if you're using your motorcycles for regular commuting, that is riding every day either to work or to your university, then in that case, buying a helmet with double D ring is not going to be easy, because you'll be taking off your helmet and putting it on probably 5 or 6 times or even 10 times in a day, correct? So putting on your helmet and then tightening the double D ring is going to be difficult. And if you like wearing gloves, every time you have to take your helmet off, you have to take your gloves off also. So in that case, you can buy something which is known as a quick release thing. You know, this is how it is. And you put on your helmet, and then it has a quick release strap. You do this and then it's strapped. It is not the safest way to do it, but again, if you are only commuting in the city and not riding beyond 60 or 70 kilometers an hour, then this would be of great ease, because put on your helmet, do this, and it comes off, and taking it off is as easy as that, and putting it on is as easy as this. So it would be okay for slow rides around the city. And also, when you're riding a motorcycle for commuting in the city, we all know that very often, in case we get a phone call or in case we have to pull over and then talk to someone, then we would have to take our helmet off kind of quickly, correct? And also, if you put on your helmet for 10 hours a day and riding in a lot of heat, then wearing a very snug helmet, like I generally advise, is not going to be easy. Because if you ever have put on a snug helmet and taken it off for more than 5 or 6 times in a lot of heat, when you're perspiring, your skin would almost start to kind of peel off. It would start hurting your skin. So in that case, for slow commuting rides, you can buy something which is slightly more comfortable, your helmet, and slightly easier to take it off, because helmet has to be snug for higher speeds, and it can be comfortable and slightly on the looser side for commuting with a quick release mechanism. But again, because I said it can be slightly looser, it doesn't mean if your size is small you end up buying XL because it is very comfortable. No, that is bad. You cannot buy that because that helmet is not going to stay onto your head in a proper manner even at 60 kilometers an hour. So don't do that. So if your size is small, probably just the next size which is slightly looser, you can buy that for commuting. So what helmets should you buy? Now in a range of about 5,000 Indian rupees, you get really good helmets. And one of the brands that I generally suggest for speeds not above about 110 or 120 kilometers per hour, below those speeds are these, the LS2 and MT. So you can buy these for commuting. Now again, if you are someone who can use a double D ring even for commuting, go ahead, do it. But if you're not comfortable, you can absolutely use the quick release mechanism. So LS2 has quick release, MT has double D ring. So you can try them out. Both are at the same level when it comes to safety, and then decide what you like. Now moving away from commuting, let us talk about more serious stuff, that is touring and very fast riding and then racing. So now let's talk about touring. Touring involves endurance, riding a motorcycle for 10 hours or sometimes 12 hours a day in heat. And also, even when you're touring, you'll probably have to take your helmet off quite a few times when you're doing that, right? When you're filling up fuel, when you're stopping to have a tea or having a meal. So in that case, again, buying a very snug fit helmet would not be easy, because if you put on an extremely snug fit helmet which is pushing against your face and put it on for about 10 or 12 hours and keep taking it off, it's not going to be easy. So again, for touring, your helmet, I suggest get a double D ring. Don't get the quick release one for touring, because what happens is that when we are on a highway, we ride fast, correct? We are not going to be riding at 60 or 70 kilometers an hour like we do in city conditions. So only for city conditions, the quick release mechanism is fine. Else on the highway, it's a double D ring, because remember, this quick release thing is only based on one single spring here, okay? And in case of a fall, if the spring kind of gives way and the strap comes off, then the helmet will go off your head, and I don't even want to talk about what can happen. Also, when you're buying helmets for touring, remember to buy helmets with lot of ventilation and also with good soundproofing, because racing helmets generally don't have great soundproofing. There's a lot of weight saving that is done on racing helmets, and the kind of ventilation that they have is also not so great sometimes, and also the soundproofing is not so great, because again, racers on a racetrack put on earplugs, although they have free flow exhaust. But when you're on a highway, and if you have an aftermarket exhaust, and if you're wearing a race kind of a helmet, and that case you'll have to put on earplugs all the time, and it's not going to be easy. So buy a helmet with good soundproofing, and also a helmet which has chin curtain. Now let me show you what a chin curtain is. Now this is something which is known as a chin curtain here, okay? When you put on a helmet, this kind of covers the bottom of your chin. So what happens is it kind of deflects the air, wind, and also some level of noise, and it works as some level of soundproofing, and it's good. It works pretty fine. So if your helmet doesn't have a chin curtain, look for buying a helmet which has a chin curtain for touring. And also for touring, buy a helmet which has antibacterial inner lining and cushioning, because as I mentioned, you would be perspiring, you'd be sweating, riding for long hours, and in that case, if you're unable to dry your helmet after the ride, then the level of fungus and bacteria and infections can go high inside your helmet. So buy an antibacterial lining for your helmet in case your helmet already doesn't have that. And for touring, it would be pretty cool to have a dual visor technology. That is, there are helmets where generally most of the helmets come with plain visor, the high-end ones. So in plain visor, if you're riding in bright daylight, your eyes would start to stress, correct? But again, if you have a tinted visor, if you're riding in the night, because sometimes when you're touring, you'll probably have to ride in the night also, right? In that case, you can't carry two visors, because if you keep a visor in your bag, it occupies space and it can also crack and break. So helmet with dual visor mechanism, where you kind of switch and there are like goggles, a half visor that comes up from inside, and you can buy that, and that will be pretty cool for riding in the day, and the night flip it up and you'll be good to go. But Snell certification does not approve this. So if you are looking to buy a helmet with inner visor, dual visors, Snell would not kind of approve that. But again, if you get a relatively good certification, could be anything, ECE or DOT or Sharp, in case they allow the inner visor, the goggles kind of a thing, go ahead and buy that. That can be pretty useful. Also, there's something called field of view on a helmet. We all know, right? When we use cameras, they are narrow angle lenses, they are medium angle lenses, they are wide angle lenses. So that is how we see. Narrow angle, we'll only see this much. Wide angle, we can see a lot. So the same way, a helmet would have the field of view. Now, field of view is the shell of the helmet. The shell of the helmet, the opening here for the face, where we have our eyes, nose and mouth, it is not the same on every helmet. It is cut differently. So the vision that you see from inside, which is known as field of view, is different. Many helmets, the top part is very low. It is still here. And some helmets it's higher. And some helmets very close to your eye, and some helmets it's further. So for touring, buy a helmet which has really good field of view, because you're on a highway, you would like to see oncoming cars, any kind of an issue or anything. So you would like to see far above and away and on the sides when you are on the highway. So make sure you buy a helmet with good field of view. And probably the most important thing, that is when you're buying a helmet for touring, no excuse of buying a dark looking helmet. No black color, no very dark blue color, no camouflaged multiple designs. Because remember, you could be riding a Hayabusa or a ZX14 or any motorcycle which is really huge, but a rider on a motorcycle would not be seen for cars and for other motorcycles which are on the other side of the highway when you are about a kilometer or two away. Motorcycles will not be seen, and that is the reason a motorcycle headlight should always be on, especially when you're on a highway, because the traffic from the other side can see you. Because not always do highways have dividers, right? There are many highways which are without traffic divisions, the concrete divisions that I'm speaking about. So in that case, you will not be seen. So put on your headlight all the time, and also buy a helmet which is known as a high visibility helmet, something like this. Now this is a high visibility color. Check this out. You can see this color from couple of kilometers away or beyond in bright daylight and even in the night. So buy something like this, or a white color helmet with minimum amount of graphics on it. Because remember, style is cool, but our life is much cooler than that. For a racetrack, you can buy any color you want. You can buy matte black, you can buy absolute camouflage stuff, it doesn't matter, because on a racetrack, no one is coming from the other side to hit you, correct? And for regular commuting streets, we are going very slow. So if you have high visibility color, even for our general streets, it's cool, but if you don't, it's kind of all right. Now, when it comes to motorcycle racing, remember, it is the most high risk sport on this planet, because riders on superbikes can cross speeds of in excess of 300 kilometers an hour. And when you are doing those speeds, in an unfortunate event of a fall, you can only imagine hitting the ground with a helmet which is not so good, correct? So here, no excuse. You cannot say I don't have enough money, I cannot afford it. Come on, if you can afford racing, you can afford a helmet which is at least about 50,000 rupees. Because come on, I mean, if you can buy a super bike, or if you can afford race training, and plus keep everything aside, there is no excuse when it comes to buying a good helmet, because that is primarily the most important gear that you'll be wearing on a race track. So get a helmet which is of a high-end certification. Not the Snell, even ECE, and there are other certifications also, but I generally stick to Snell. But if you buy AGV, something like this, then it's not a Snell certification, it is ECE certification, but they are really good. You can buy K5 and upwards, and if you can afford the top end helmets like AGV Pista, just go for it, buy it. It is a great investment. Else, if you are starting off racing on a 150cc or even up to 373cc segment like the RCs or the Dukes, then get at least an HJC CL17, which is Snell certified, and in India it costs about 12,000 rupees. So get that, because these are the helmets which save your life, and just make sure it is snug fit, absolutely snug fit. Here we are not talking about comfort. Here we are not talking about taking your helmet off and putting it on 10 times, correct? Because you would only do it once before the race and you take it off only once after the race. And it has to be a double D ring only, it goes without saying. And that is it, friends. You can buy any color you want, that's absolutely fine. And also, if you can afford it, make sure you buy a very lightweight helmet, because that helps in racing. If you can afford a carbon fiber helmet, go get a carbon fiber helmet. That's it from my side. And if I did not mention this, that even for touring, make sure it has to be only a double D ring. You cannot have the quick release mechanism for touring. Also, if you have any questions, let me know, friends. That's it from my side. Take care. Bye-bye. And if you're not subscribed to me, you're missing out on about 450 videos.